Welcome to Eczema Phoenix, where we learn how to transform our lives with eczema. Welcome to the second video in a series of 7 that I am calling Sherlock Your Skin. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a system, a 7-part system that I particularly use in my own life to keep my itchiness and eczema at bay and to continue to live a functional life through self-observation of my own patterns. I'm sharing principles that anyone can use in their own life and that can be specified for your specific lifestyle and preferences, location where you live, and other things like that. So I hope that this series will be helpful for you. If you would like to see the first video, which was an introduction to the series, including a way to assess and analyze the type of rash that you have, depending on how deep it goes, feel free to click here, or I'll also have it in the description box down below. Today's topic in the Sherlock Your Skin series will be about environment. I touched upon it briefly in my previous video, but I'd like to go more in depth because the effect that climate, weather, temperature, and the amount of humidity where you live really makes a difference in the kind of rashes that you'll have and your experience of them. I live in the Bay Area in California in the United States, and here the weather is on the slightly drier side, but I also live in Daly City, so I'm close to the coast, which is near the ocean, and just a little bit more moisture in the air than there would be, like say in the East Bay, which is more inland, drier, and aggravates my skin type, which happens to already be dry in this climate, and therefore I really crave more humid environments where I can just get more natural moisture absorbed in the air through my skin. Though, having said that, I am Filipino American. I'm first generation, born in Redwood City, raised in Daly City, and often in the city, San Francisco, and East Bay for work and school in herbalism. In my experience with the effect of how I understand my relationship, the relationship between my skin and the climate it is in, is that I've had the experience of going to tropical environments, Hawaii and the Philippines namely, and not needing any lotion. Like, oh my god, when I went to the Philippines first time in, I think it was 2006, I could not believe how amazingly warm and humid it was. I loved it. I could feel my body's blood circulating a lot more easily. I was more relaxed because of the weather, the humidity. Like, my skin drank up that humidity like a sponge. It was great, and I didn't even need any lotion. I did not need a lotion. Whoa, like, to me that was mind-blowing. I was just so sweaty, and it was so humid that I just felt like I was good, and I did stay moisturized naturally, and my skin felt great. Like, it was not irritated by all of the heat, though it was quite hot. And I think it's because what I felt in my body was that the humidity created a layer of protection from the sun and just made my skin really happy. I felt really normal there. Same thing happened in Hawaii. Like, it's just, you know, island life is good to me, and I'm going to say it's because of my genetics and my ancestors. For me, my parents having grown up in a humid environment in the Philippines, to me it makes sense that my body would really love it too, and that it would find the weather here more drying, which does require me to use lotions and balms, especially in the wintertime. So that's very eye-opening for me, and something to consider for you if you are in an environment that's dry and you already have dry skin and require a lot of lotion and balm to stay hydrated and normal. But having said that, there are always exceptions to the rule, and I have actually met a Filipina from the Philippines who was born and raised there, who developed eczema in the Philippines because it was too humid for her. There was too much humidity. She was sweating so much that it was just irritating her skin. I'm wondering if the salts and the sweat were just irritating the skin like so much for her and her particular skin type that she developed eczema. But when she moved here to the Bay Area, she said it went away on its own, just because of the environment, just because of the change in residence. I am not a scientist, but if there is one out there, and anyone who's studied this or has any thoughts about this or insight, I would love to know and learn more about that, because like, to me, I was just like, this whole time I was thinking, oh, if you have ancestors, and relatives and your parents were born in a certain climate, that's the climate that's ideal for you. You have to go back to the motherland, the homeland, and then that will be your ideal climate to live in, because that's what you were born with. You were born with the genes of people who grew up in that environment. Wow. But again, that one lady really opened my eyes to different possibilities, and perhaps not, and perhaps there have been changes in the amount of pollution or humidity, or maybe global warming has made it too intense, the heat and humidity there, so that it is creating eczema for the native people that live in whatever country they're living in. I'm definitely feeling more warmth in the Bay Area. I kind of like it, but it's still sort of dry, so sometimes that aggravates the dryness. Just the heat and the dryness kind of aggravate each other. So I still use sunblock and a lot of hydrosols to keep myself hydrated and cool. It is something to consider when you are looking at your rash, whether it's something that's ongoing where you live, and if it ever changes when you go on vacation to different climates. It's almost worth experimenting with traveling to places that really have very different climates, and just seeing how your skin naturally takes to it, and then having experienced that to see whether or not a move is worth it, if you are willing to create a new life, or to take note of the climate and the temperature that is in that ideal place for you, and try to mimic it, maybe with a humidifier or other sort of elements that you could bring into your lifestyle, into your living space or your workspace, to create your own ideal climate as much as you possibly can. If you have dry skin like me, I would definitely avoid the desert, just because it's very dry and it is very hot. But if you have naturally oily skin and your rashes are oozing and they are aggravated by sweating, well, sweating kind of aggravates skin in general. If you have oily skin and you have eczema that is oozy and weepy, you know, very kind of, in a sense, it's very liquidy and oily in a sense on its own, maybe a drier climate might be helpful for that. Also take note if your eczema feels better or worse with more warmth or more coolness. For me and my rashes, sometimes I do find like cold weather is really relieving for rashes that feel very hot, and especially if it's cold and raining, that's really kind of great too for the kind of eczema I have, especially the kind that shows up on my face and my neck. Just the coolness, the hydration, the moisture is can be really good. So sometimes it can benefit from more rain. You know, rain is not always a bad thing, even though you might have to stay indoors more often. So that's just like one example of how you can assess the effect of climate, temperature, weather patterns on eczema to fit your specific type. If your skin is dry and it is hot, maybe you want to be somewhere where it's cool and more moist. If your skin responds well to more heat, maybe circulation really helps your blood flow and your skin to recover faster. And you're dry, maybe a moist, humid environment like a tropical island would be ideal for you, like it is for me. And you can take those elements of hot and cold, dry and humid to, you know, any type of eczema rash and any type of location you can find in the world. Just, you know, look at yourself, observe what it is, see the features of your rash and give it the opposite things to bring it balance. And one of those ways can certainly be environment, since we are surrounded by it all the time. Another thing with the environment is pollution. Pollution will aggravate all skin. So it doesn't matter where you live, and if it has all the other ideal elements, if there's a lot of pollution in the air, like in very urban environments or places that aren't very clean for one reason or another, that will definitely aggravate a rash and or cause new rashes to form. So definitely keep a hygienic environment, keep yourself clean. In my next video, I'm going to talk about cosmetics, cosmetic ingredients, skincare, things that can be helpful for eczema to apply topically. I hope that this video is helpful for you. Maybe consider exploring new terrain to see if it will help your own terrain on your body. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.